I want Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Switch.
No.
Why?
Because.
Hot take. Most gamers out there want Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Nintendo Switch, and why wouldn't they? It's a very cool new system and it's portable, and to have one of the best games released this year on the console would be a big deal.
Yeah, it was a huge game. $725 million in revenue over 3 days for Red Dead Redemption 2.
It's quite a bit.
And I'm sure it would sell really well on the Switch, but it looks like it probably won't be coming to the Switch. There's a few reasons why.
Yeah.
So after the Game Awards, a lot of different press outlets had spoken with Reggie Fils-Aimé, and one, I believe it was The Hollywood Reporter, they had asked, hey, like what's going on with third-party releases? Do you see Red Dead Redemption coming to the Switch? Why wasn't it on the Switch? And Reggie basically said, hey, look, the game was in development for like a long time, 5 years. And when the Switch was being made, that game was being made, and there weren't conversations being had at that time.
Yeah. Now, this is an excuse, but I don't believe that's wholly accurate, okay? When you're Rockstar and when you're Nintendo, somebody at Nintendo goes to Rockstar's office bringing a suitcase with a little box and goes, here's the next thing we're going to be releasing in the far-off distant future. We would like you to be involved. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I think we got L.A. Noire, right?
Exactly.
I think that these things were in play, but what I believe happened here was something totally different. I think that Rockstar is still hesitant about the Nintendo Switch. I think that's more realistic than anything else.
Well, yeah, there's a few things. So the hesitation that you're talking about is something that even Reggie Fils-Aimé had addressed in another one of his interviews. I believe it was with IGN. He had said that he felt like the first 2 years, I mean, we are into the second year of the Switch, all of this time has been Nintendo trying to prove that their console is worthwhile for third-party developers. Now, some developers have jumped on board, and you know, releases are coming. Bethesda, of course, had a few games, and we are seeing support from third parties with games like Mortal Kombat 11, and even the new Crash Team Racing is going to be day and date on the Switch as well.
And not even to talk about the indie games that have been released on the Switch that have been being very successful, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah. So I think there's a lot going on there. The hesitation is a thing, right? And so maybe the Switch did need to prove itself. But one thing that we had discussed before was that Red Dead Redemption 2, it's not a tiny little nothing of a game. Nope. It is enormous in scope.
Yes, it is.
And I feel like, let's say Nintendo walked into Rockstar's office, let's say a couple years ago, and said, hey, we're making this thing called the Switch. You want to bring that game over here? If I was in Rockstar's circumstances, I would have looked at it and been like, well, we would have to basically make a completely different game, because like you can't just turn down the settings on Red Dead Redemption 2
that much.
And put it onto that screen. It just doesn't work that way. So I believe development time would have been much.
Yeah. And see, I think this plays into something else too. Now, there's a lot of conversations we had earlier on, and I've actually talked about this a lot on Twitter too. I've wanted to see Grand Theft Auto 5 come to the Switch. I thought that would be a great way for this to happen. Grand Theft Auto 5 originally came out on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360.
Yep.
The Nintendo Switch is more powerful than those systems.
It's more in line,
right?
yeah.
But the problem was that the game has since become a much bigger affair. The original PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions don't really get updated anymore, and they don't have the expansions that you keep seeing on the PS4 and Xbox One and PC versions. Those versions are much bigger. There's a lot more going on. Where they could probably take the PS3 360 version and bring it over, the newer version, which is the one that keeps getting updated, that one is now a lot bigger than what would normally fit on a single one of the Nintendo Switch cartridges.
So would you even think that, of course we want Rockstar games on the Switch, would you think that there would be a lot of people clamoring to purchase Grand Theft Auto 5 if it was just the single player alone? Do you think online has to be a thing for that to say?
See, that's the problem. With Grand Theft Auto, I believe people would want to play it online heavily. Like, that's one of the big factors of that game. When it comes to Red Dead Redemption, That's a little bit different. We don't
So
know.
far.
Yeah.
So far. Things could change.
Things could
Yeah,
change.
yeah, yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2 online is not as successful as I think Rockstar has wanted it to be.
Sure.
Because it's not as open as what you get with Grand Theft Auto.
It's a different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that game, maybe in the future they're going to improve things. Because I remember when Grand Theft Auto 5 Online came out initially, wasn't very good. There was a lot of problems with it, and it got better as time went on.
Yeah. I still kind of feel like the attach rate was there, though.
Oh, it was.
From the very beginning.
There was
where
people.
Red Dead
Yeah.
Redemption, it seems a little wavery.
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of things going on with Red Dead Redemption that probably don't make it a great mobile game as well. With Grand Theft Auto, you can jump to places pretty quick, although there is a lot of loading times when you're playing stuff online, which doesn't really do so great with a system like the Switch where it doesn't have the longest battery life in the world. But when it comes to Red Dead Redemption, I'm not going to spoil the game for you or anything, folks, but if you are lost in the middle of like a desert and your horse is dead, you got to walk out of that desert and it's going to take you time. It is a much longer, slower paced game. And maybe that's one of the reasons they were hesitant as well. I believe it's more hardware than game development reasons.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there's a lot of things that go beyond that. I don't believe that what Reggie Fils-Aimé said is entirely accurate, because by saying, "Oh, yeah, it was in development for a while." Well, sure, but a lot of things were in development, and they still managed to get it out.
We have to look at it like this. So either Nintendo can have a comment like that, like, "Oh, it was in development for a while, and we weren't in talks while the Switch was being developed," or they can say, "Hey, it's not going to run on our hardware. This will never work."
Yeah.
Like, well, he's not going to say that in public, obviously, right? Because the stocks.
Oh yeah, right. But see, that's just the thing, right? There are people out there that when they hear Reggie Fils-Aimé isn't a bad person or anything, right? Nobody at Nintendo is like malicious. They of course want this game on their platform. The problem is that when you're dealing with these kind of issues, you can't say what you mean. You can't say what is true. And when it comes to gamers out there that are paying attention to these messages, sometimes they hear it and they treat it as gospel, but that's not how this is. It's different messaging. It's different implications of things. They basically do want things. It's just you can't have it all the time.
Right.
And with this game, although I think it could happen at some point, I believe you're more likely to see Grand Theft Auto 5 move over than Red Dead Redemption 2 at this point in time.
Sure. Yeah, I think the most important thing right now is just to, like I said, they had proven themselves. If they can't get Red Dead Redemption 2, moving forward, I really hope that there's this gigantic, sort of static effect where the third parties are just attaching to the Switch, because this last year, they didn't have a lot of games per se, but sales are pretty good. And we had seen the Black Friday numbers were ridiculous for those 5 days. They almost doubled what they had done in the past. It was insane. It was like one of the greatest chunks of time for Nintendo history.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, Nintendo's first party games consistently do well.
Right.
They are the things that push people to get the systems. But that's the problem.
Yeah.
See, what we saw over 2018 was less third-party titles that I think everyone would have liked.
Yes.
And I think coming into 2019, what we need to see happen is, look, the next Call of Duty that comes out, it has to be coming out on the Switch. The next Battlefield that comes out has to be coming out on the Switch.
Yeah,
if we start seeing a lot of third-party games get announced and not arrive on the Switch, it's done. Okay, 2019 will be the poster child for what the next couple of years for the Switch are going to be like, because game developers are not going to work backwards with their game franchises. They're not going to keep releasing them or downgrading them to get them on the Switch. It needs to happen now. It needs to happen tomorrow. It needs to be there so that people can basically go, look, if I'm going to buy a Switch, I'm going to be getting some of the games I could be getting on those systems right now on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, but I can play it portably. That needs to be what happens.
Right, and so I guess they're basically hoping that the numbers that they've shown for this year will attract the people that are making those games.
That's the hope.
To the console. Yeah, I just hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. Look, folks, I know there's a lot of you out there that love playing third-party games as much as you like playing Nintendo games. And for me personally, I play the Xbox One X quite a bit right now because I happen to have a 4K TV. But I do know that a lot of people out there prefer the PlayStation 4 because there's a lot more people out there that own it. But there are games on those two platforms that I think would be killer apps on the Nintendo Switch. Right. The ability to have some of those games and play them portably, like, I know this is going to sound crazy. Tetris Effect, I want that on Switch. why would I ever want a Tetris game not portable? Like, for me, Tetris is like, it was a Game Boy game. That's the game I take with me on the go. So having that limited to that platform and that console means that I can't take it with me wherever I go, and that sucks. I don't like that.
I don't know what the exclusivity of that is like. The thing about the Switch right now is, even though it doesn't have the third-party support, the attach rate of the games, like, the hunger's there.
Oh, yeah.
The attach rate of the games, like Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, and Mario Kart 8 is over 50%. So those numbers are showing that people want to be playing games on these systems. We just got to get them there. And we got to say this as well. We are talking about how third-party support wasn't that great. Indie support is massive to the point where it's almost problematic. Like, it's getting, the store's getting flooded. But it's great to know that there are hundreds upon hundreds of games on that platform, and many of them are doing quite well.
It's a crapshoot. Sometimes you'll play a whole bunch of games, and some of them are really, really good. But then once in a while you play a game and you're just like, why did that even make it on the store? How did it even get there? But what's really cool is very recently, I think it was called Gris or Grime or
Grizzle?
I don't know what it was called. I forget. This is crazy too. We just had the Video Game Awards happen, okay? And this game didn't get shown off. There was no trailer for it.
Oh, you're talking about that really cool animated?
Yeah.
That game looks
look,
awesome.
Folks, I'll remember what it is
Gris.
later. I think it's
Gris.
Gris. Yeah, so this game just had a trailer shown off, and the very next day, I think actually today it came out, and I'm like, what? Where? Why? Where did this game come from?
Did you mention it's exclusive?
Yeah, it's exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. It's on PC and Mac as well, but on consoles it's only on the Switch, and it looks amazing. Where is the advertisements for this? Where is the excitement for this stuff?
That was a great opportunity that was missed, and I don't know exactly why that happened. We are seeing other, like, tinier little punches of third-party support with like old Neo Geo games getting ported over in Sega Ages, which I do think is cool. You're not gonna. I don't think you'll ever get massive numbers from those, but I do appreciate that.
Well, okay, this is a part of the problem, though.
Yeah.
Those games, those games we talked about that we're hearing about coming out, we're not seeing Nintendo celebrate those.
No.
And third-party developers are like, look, when we go to make a game on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, those companies pay us tons of money just to have it on our system, right? Like on their system. That's what they do. We saw it with Red Dead Redemption. We saw so many ads from Sony, so many ads from Microsoft. We saw so much fight to show you, like, this system is the best to play this on.
Right.
They're not, like, Nintendo's not even in the running for those games. If Nintendo could just have that kind of conversation with developers and go, look, think about this. We're going to release an exclusive version of Grand Theft Auto 5 only available on the Switch. No one else is going to get it. It's going to have a couple of improvements, things that make use of the Switch hardware unique to that platform. And if Nintendo were to back that, I do. No motion controls for. I do not want that. Please. But if those kind of things happen, you can see third-party developers flooding Nintendo to be like, look, we want to be on the system because as it stands, right? So, the system has nowhere to go but up right now.
So I'm glad we had spoken a little bit about this, because I do think a big part of it is also messaging. So even like the title that you'd mentioned that's exclusive to the Switch now, the messaging wasn't there. Yeah. So hopefully, when third parties do become more involved in the future, the messaging will be there.
That's the hope.
We got the messaging about Mortal Kombat 11. We got the messaging about Crash Team Racing. We want more. The hunger's there. First-party titles are selling really well. Good numbers. Come on, Switch. You're set up. You're set up to make gold.
2019 is going to be the make-or-break year. It's going to be a big time. And honestly,
there's already a lot of great first-party stuff that's going to be coming out.
There's so much coming out. Look, 2019 is going to be impressive. I think you're going to see a lot that's going to happen with Nintendo that a lot of people are going to be really excited about. But folks, what do you think? Are you excited about 2019 for the Switch? Or are you just sitting there really waiting for Red Dead Redemption, which is likely never going to come because Reggie Fils-Aimé said it's probably not going to happen?